Hey there, folks. How you doing today? So I've gotten a lot of questions about a video I posted earlier in the week about Ben Mallah, Grant Cardone, and other YouTube real estate experts. And I got a bunch of questions about Ben Mallah and kind of my stance that his portfolio of what he owns is kind of the worst stuff to own today, that it's actually a good thing, if you know what I mean. And I'm actually reminded of this kind of experience or situation that he's in, kind of similar to what Donald Trump, the real estate developer, was in New York. Pretty well documented in the first book that I know of, called The Art of the Deal. I remember reading Art of the Deal, I think when I was a teenager, and just being so in awe of how this New Yorker type guy was just sort of just being aggressive and beating up lenders to negotiate for what I thought was kind of unheard of, right? He got tax breaks from the city or county of New York, and he was aggressive. And again, The Art of the Deal was a book I've read probably 3 or 4 times now, but not in a while. But when I think of Ben Mallah and the situation he is in today, I kind of think he is going to be kind of like Donald Trump was in that portion of the book where New York was falling apart and he was in debt up to his eyeballs, and he got through it and frankly came out stronger. Um, there's been a lot said recently about Art of the Deal and a lot by the author of Art of the Deal. None of that matters for what I'm talking about. Donald Trump was in a bad situation and he took it head on and negotiated with lenders and cities and counties and states and came out of that trying time in better shape. And I think Ben Mallah is going to be in the same situation. But let me kind of share with you the presentation I have, because I wanted to kind of walk you through what I was thinking. Again, I think Ben Mallah is going to have his Donald Trump / Art of the Deal moment, because he's already on the hook for these. And let me go forward. So again, to be clear, my opinion is strip malls, hotels, and value add multifamilies are probably the absolute worst things to own today. Strip malls are routinely not getting rent from tenants. They're all vacant. Hotels are vacant. And then value add multifamily is less valuable today because your exit is going to be into a higher cap rate environment with higher interest rates. And they're just, none of those assets are anything that you would want to own going into this crisis. So that much I think needs to be clear. You wouldn't want to be owning these, but the fact that you do own them, you do have some advantages, which I'll talk about in a minute. I actually think these assets are so bad that Ben is actually going to have a strong negotiation position with his lenders. His lenders have collateral, and the collaterals are empty strip malls, empty hotels, and value add multifamily. That's the collateral. There is not a bank on the planet that wants those assets taken back. They much, 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 much rather have the income from the loans. They are not going to be in a rush to say, hey, Ben, give me that empty hotel for 60 cents on the dollar or 40 cents or 30 cents. So the fact that these assets are so bad are actually a strength for Ben, if that makes any sense. The other thing that I think has to be clear, and this, I could be way wrong with this, I believe Ben's business model is he or his companies or his family own these properties. He is not some umbrella syndicator who just goes out in markets and markets and markets and thus has limited partners that he has to work with. My understanding of Ben's model is it's his stuff. He can make the calls. He can decide what he wants. And it's for Ben to decide. That actually gives him the greatest flexibility, because when he works with his lenders, he could, in theory, say, hey, you don't want to work with me? Take it. I'll work on these other ones. And that gives him advantages, where if you are a general partner like other syndicators, you probably have responsibilities to your LPs that would prevent you from kind of picking winners and losers. So again, Ben's business model, meaning he owns it with no limited partners, is a strength because it gives him greatest flexibility and greatest control. This ownership interest, again, means he's, in theory, can pick winners and losers. He may be negotiating with all of his lenders. And if there's some lenders that are working with him, he may say, great, I'm going to take my limited capital that I have left and focus on your assets. And as far as the losers go, if you don't want to negotiate, fine with me. Take it back in 6 months. I'm not going to do anything to it. I'm going to board up the doors and here's the asset, kind of maybe even just mail in the keys in a worst case scenario. So again, because of Ben's ownership interest, or at least as I understand it, he has great flexibility and a lot of control. The other thing is this came right out of Donald Trump's Art of the Deal, is he's a large borrower, right? He can walk into a boardroom knowing that that bank or institution owes him, or he owes 50, 60, 70 million dollars. He has negotiating power just by being there because it's all or nothing. They're not going to work out half the loans and not the others. Because Ben is huge, he's going to get attention first. He's going to get the best workouts. He's going to get the best forbearance. It's much better to owe 50 million than 500 grand. If you're a 500 grand mom and pop investor, you're easily forgotten. But if you walk in with $50 million owed, they're going to pay attention. They're going to bring you some coffee and say, how do we get through this together? The other thing Ben has is he's a well-documented, proven operator. He can go back and say, look, this is what I've done. This is what I've done in normal times. This is what I did through 2008, the financial crash. But hey, you, the federal government, came in and told my customers to go away. You told me not to fly. This is not normal business operation. It's not something I could have planned for. It hasn't happened in 100 years. Cut me a break. Work with me. Help me get through the next 90, 180 days. And because of his track record, they're going to say, yep, we agree with you. The other thing is banks are going to look at saying, hey, do I want to take back this empty hotel? What could I get for it? Rough numbers. Let's say they owe $10 million. They look at his vacant hotel or strip mall or multifamily and go, you know what? I think I can get $4 million for it on the open market today. No bank wants to write down 60% when they can just work with Ben, a proven operator with a track record that's going to get through this. Ben's size and strength and ownership flexibility means his lenders are going to work with him. It's the only answer that I see. And if you want to read about how this worked for someone else, read Art of the Deal, which documents Donald Trump's initial investing in New York. I believe Ben's going to negotiate crazy hard. He's going to ask for a year of no payments and 1% interest. And he is going to get the absolute best deals because of size and experience and the fact that his assets today at fire sale prices are worth nothing. So I expect Ben to negotiate as hard. And if you want to see how hard somebody negotiates, read Art of the Deal. It is still crazy how hard Donald Trump negotiated, assuming what's in that book is true. In addition, I suspect Ben not only survives, but I think he thrives in this environment. I think he sets up his debt structure like never before. I also think he's going to pick up assets from banks that are working with him. It says, hey, let me give you this mom and pop small operator. Ben's going to say no, then the bank's going to make it an offer he can't refuse. And Ben's going to come out of this even bigger than when he went in, which is just crazy to think about. But I think Ben is in a great, great position. So that's what I think. I think a lot of this thoughts come from my experience of reading Art of the Deal. It has been 4 or 5 years since I read it. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Or are you on the fence and say Ben's going to go bankrupt? Because in theory, that is an option. That really could happen. So again, if you have the time and you haven't read Art of the Deal, it might be worth a read. I guess it's entertaining to see how somebody negotiates at a level that I've never seen. But yeah, that's what I think. So I don't think Ben's going to be in trouble. I think it's going to be uncomfortable. He may have to give up some of his toys. He may have to let that $30 million mansion go. But Ben's going to be fine. So again, let me know what you think. Have a wonderful day.